Did you know that one of the deadliest Mossad agents in history wasn't a man with a gun, but a woman with a smile? Her name was Silvia Rafael, a beautiful teacher who became one of Israel's most dangerous undercover agents. She seduced, spied, and sometimes killed Israel's enemies. But in the end, her greatest mission became her biggest failure, and her love story became more famous than her victories. This is the true story of the woman who lived as a ghost, a legend, and finally, a scandal. Silvia Rafael was born in South Africa in 1937. Her father was a Ukrainian Jew, her mother a strict Christian. From her father, she inherited a deep connection to the Jewish people, especially after learning that most of his family had been wiped out in Europe. By day, Silvia was a brilliant student and later a schoolteacher, but deep inside, she longed for something more than a quiet life. When she saw rising anti-Semitism in South Africa, she felt a calling. In 1963, she left everything behind and moved to Israel. At first, she lived like any other immigrant, working in a kibbutz, learning Hebrew, and blending into Israeli life. But someone was watching her. Mossad recruiters saw a woman who was fluent in languages, intelligent, fearless, and, most importantly, able to disappear into any crowd. They invited her for tests. She passed psychological exams, memory challenges, and field exercises where she had to change accents, create identities, and observe tiny details others would miss. One day, she was asked to ride a bus, then describe every passenger in detail, their faces, clothing, even their watches. She nailed it. Her instructors tested her ability to lie convincingly under pressure. They asked her to fake an identity at short notice and improvise a backstory. She did it so well that even her examiners almost believed her. Soon, Silvia was no longer a teacher. She was Mossad's newest combat agent. Training intensified, dead drops in crowded markets, brush passes on busy sidewalks, coded phrases hidden in casual conversation. She learned to swap SIM cards without looking, to spot a tail from a reflection, and to hold eye contact just long enough to make someone feel seen, but not studied. Every gesture became a tool, every silence a choice, and every new alias a door she had to lock behind her. Her new identity, Patricia Roxborough, a Canadian journalist based in Paris. By day, she took photos of protests and refugee camps. Some of her pictures were even published in newspapers. By night, she passed information, coded reports, and intelligence straight to Mossad. Silvia was a master of charm. She could drink tea with Palestinian activists, gain their trust, and then secretly photograph their meetings. To her contacts, she was a polite, harmless foreigner. In reality, she was feeding Mossad everything they needed. But Mossad's life is lonely. No family, no real friends, no home. Just lies stacked on lies. And yet, Silvia was still human. She even fell in love with Hans, a fellow undercover agent. Their romance was fleeting, but it gave her brief warmth in a cold world. She learned to treat trust like a currency, offered sparingly, spent precisely. Her apartment walls in Paris were bare by design, less to explain if someone visited. The camera bag by the door was always half-packed, a life lived mid-escape. Then came the tragedy that changed everything, the Munich Olympics massacre of 1972. Black September terrorists murdered 11 Israeli athletes. The mastermind was Ali Hassan Salameh, known as the Red Prince. Handsome, wealthy, and adored by Palestinians, he was Israel's #1 target. Mossad launched Operation Wrath of God to hunt him down, and Silvia was pulled into the mission. She moved closer to Salameh's circles, gathering whispers, following leads, and risking everything. But Salameh was clever. He had bodyguards, safe houses, and an ability to vanish. Catching him would be Mossad's most dangerous mission yet. In 1973, Mossad believed they had finally tracked Salameh to Lillehammer, a small Norwegian town. Silvia joined the hit team. They followed a man who looked like Salameh, studied his movements, and prepared for the kill. One night, as the man walked out of a cinema with his pregnant wife, shots were fired. He collapsed on the street, dead. But there was one problem. The man wasn't Ali Hassan Salameh. He was Ahmed Bouchiki, a Moroccan waiter, an innocent man. The operation backfired instantly. Norwegian police launched an investigation. Locals had noticed too many foreigners in town, strange rental cars, and suspicious movements. One by one, Mossad agents were arrested, and among them was Silvia. The aftermath moved like slow thunder. Interrogations began with small talk, weather, travel, photography, then tightened into timelines and contradictions. Her forged passports, her cash, her cryptic notebook. Each item turned into a question she couldn't safely answer. She tried to play the harmless tourist, the freelancer with an eye for human stories. But the story she needed most, her cover, was already unraveling. When police searched her, they found forged Canadian passports, cash, and coded notes. She tried to pretend she was just a tourist, but it didn't work. Her real name, Silvia Rafael, made international headlines. The woman who had lived in shadows was now exposed to the entire world. The ghost had been caught. Norway was furious. Israel denied Mossad's involvement, but everyone knew the truth. Silvia was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison. Norwegian prisons were comfortable compared to most. No bars on the windows, books to read, time to walk outside. But Silvia's real prison was her thoughts. For the first time in her life, she wasn't hiding behind an alias. She was simply Silvia. She replayed her missions over and over, wondering where she had gone wrong. Was it carelessness, or was it Mossad itself that had failed her? And in this strange place, something unexpected happened. She fell in love with her defense lawyer, Aeneas Schut. For him, Silvia wasn't a spy or a criminal. She was a woman exhausted by years of deception. Their bond grew, and after her early release in just 2 years, they married. Prison had taught her a new discipline, stillness. She wrote lists not of targets, but of ordinary desires: fresh bread, a home with lamps, a garden where names didn't change. In a life built on disguises, the bravest act was letting herself be known. Meanwhile, Mossad continued its hunt. In 1979, Ali Hassan Salameh was finally assassinated, not in Norway, but in Beirut, when his car was blown up by a remote-controlled bomb. Silvia had risked everything to kill him, and failed. But Mossad finished the job without her. Silvia moved back to Israel with her husband. She could have accepted a high position in Mossad, training new agents or leading female-led missions, but she refused. "I gave Mossad the best years of my life," she said. "Now I want to belong to myself and my husband." She returned to teaching, worked as a translator, and lived quietly. For the first time, she was not hiding behind fake names or secret missions. She was simply Silvia. In the quiet, she curated fragments of her old cover, contact sheets, captions, frames of crowds, and turned them into something gentler, stories of place, not pursuit. Exhibitions would later display those images, and viewers saw a journalist's eye. Few recognized the operative's patience behind the shutter. Her name lingered in the intelligence world, spoken softly, half myth, half warning. Not for glamour, but for the cost. The cost of being perfect until the one day you aren't. In 2005, Silvia died of cancer in Israel. Mossad agents, military veterans, and friends attended her funeral. Despite her failures, Mossad honored her as a legend. A life of masks, a love that outlived the mission. Hero, pawn, or a woman searching for belonging? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through their story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because we have more untold stories just like this.